for multi-party Democrats, Dr. Nevas Mumba, has disclosed that he is not afraid of death and the God he saves will always protect and defend him. The opposition leader said this after he made some allegations that some of his business and political opponents are trying to harm him.
The question is that of interest. What was this all about? It became absolutely clear to me that allegations were fed to the DRC investigative wings by powerful people who had planned that I be charged with treason and possibly face its penalty of death. It is for this reason that I declared a fast on Friday, December 11, 2020, not necessarily just for spiritual reasons. I just said I'm not going to eat until my government comes to rescue me. We are determined to ensure that people responsible for lying to the DRC government about me are tracked down. It's important that they are tracked down. We are determined to ensure that people responsible for lying to the DRC government about me are tracked down. It's important that they are tracked down. The good news is that I'm here with you today. The bad news is that these killers are still out there. And if they could not get me in the first plan they had, they may be wanting to think of what to do next.
Dr. Mumba denies ever being arrested by the Congolese government during his visit in Congo, but that he was merely restricted and was released immediately after he was cleared. The MMD leader has since thanked everyone that was involved in facilitating his release.
To understand that Congo is a nation that is not free from internal wars and things like that. So sometimes you might think that you are arrested by the government forces when you are actually captured by rebel groups. And so I had to wonder in my mind, is this a legitimate arrest, or is it something that is going to take me into Kivu amongst rebels? The truth is, I was never arrested. I was only restricted, and I saw.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader has expressed concern at the manner in which the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, is creating tension in the country.
And on ECZ and voter registration, MMD remains deeply concerned at the reckless speed that ECZ is taking towards creating unnecessary conflict in the nation beyond 2021. Again, as MMD has said consistently, the success of ECZ can only be by consensus, involvement of stakeholders in coming up with an electoral process that is acceptable to all.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka. Mwamba, accused of brutally killing his girlfriend after a misunderstanding, made his appearance before the Lusaka's magistrate court this morning. Mwamba, who has spent almost 20 days in custody since his arrest, was immediately committed to the Lusaka High Court upon the court receiving instructions from the Director of Public Prosecutions. The lieutenant is facing a serious allegation of murder, which is contrary to Section 200 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. Earlier, when Lieutenant Mwamba appeared before Magistrate Chiwaula Chinuda for explanation of the charge, he made an application that the court orders that he seek for medical attention, saying he could not hear properly as his ears were bleeding following the incident that occurred whilst he was in detention. He said according to a medical personnel who attended to him at Skanze Clinic, his ears was infected, and when his lawyers and family requested for the said medical report, the police officers allegedly tore it apart. The allegations are that Lieutenant Mwamba, on dates unknown, but between 24 and 26 October 2020, murdered Dr. Tasila Tembo after a bitter quarrel. The two were in a relationship. After killing his girlfriend, Mwamba left her body in Nanking Army Training Center in Mikango Barracks, where he covered it with leaves. After spending days running, the accused was later apprehended at Memorial Park, where he had gone to visit the gravesite of the woman he once loved and killed. He is expected to appear in the Lusaka High Court soon for his trial. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Of Western Province are really excited, and I would love to send this message to all other political parties to practice the tenets of democracy in their own organizations as political parties. And I'm so excited that as I've been here in Western Province, from Southern Province I came to Western Province, the mood of the people has really changed. In case you didn't know, when we went to the 2016 election, we only had 16 councillors here in Western Province, but as I speak to you, with the by-elections which have been going on, we have 30 councillors in total, and the people are geared for the vote in 2021 because according to them, they have been labeled to be corrupt by other political parties, because we have heard other political parties saying the people who are voting for PF in the councillorship, the MPs like Chilanga, the other areas where we didn't have seats, it's because they've been bought with a piece of silver, and that has really upset them, because the people of Western Province are saying they can't sing solo to be bought to give PF a vote. So they are very geared, and I'm excited as the Deputy Secretary General of this party.
Because of the many challenges being encountered in the voter registration exercise, by the end of the exercise itself, a lot of people are going to be left out. But we will still appeal to the ECZ to consider those people who will have been left out by Sunday, which is the last day. And for this reason, we are appealing to the electorate countrywide who have failed to register as voters, not because of their own making, but because of the challenges that are being experienced in the process. They should get in touch with our Civic Duty Association, OSIDA. What we are doing as OSIDA is that we are compiling lists of people who have failed to register as voters in various parts of the country. As OSIDA is that we are compiling lists of people who have failed to register as voters in various parts of the country. So we are appealing to people who have failed or who will have failed by Sunday to register as voters to get in touch with OSIDA. Just send we just need your name and your location of residence. Name and location of residence to 0761 20 6353. 0761 20 6353, that is the number to send the information to.
The ruling party and those in an alliance with them have maintained that they are on the right track in tackling some of the problems that Zambia is facing, despite being harmed with harsh criticism from both opposition political parties and ordinary citizens. They have also argued that they have the necessary political experience and understanding and feel they are being crucified for the past government sins.
Offer checks and balances that are not biased, but that are based on factuality, so that even the Zambian people should be able to determine the people that are holding the executive to account on their pronouncements, rather than just ranting all over the place in wanting to make a political name and mileage. I think this is not necessary for now.
After coming into office, President Hakainde Hichilema said he had inherited an empty treasury, while horrifying amounts of money had been stolen, but promised to end the financial and economic crisis that has seen Zambia's debt ballooning. The president, who had made several promises, also made an assurance that he was going to bring back the rule of law. But despite only staying 4 months in office, many feel that he has not lived up to his word and has not done what he promised the people of Zambia, with those in the opposition claiming that he does not have the political experience.
Hichilema is calling very well. I think he is moving very well as a president. I'm actually very happy. As one person who was very critical of him, I'm very happy with the way he's, acting so far.
Economic and Equity President Chilufya Taali, who had earlier stated that the new Dawn government was equal to the tax, seemed to have changed his position, as he is now of the view that they have failed.
At the moment, we are financially stressed. We don't have liquid cash, so we need money. And therefore, it was necessary to go to a lending institution such as IMF, which gives us loan on a lower interest. Very good. Unfortunately, he made a mess in terms of negotiations. The terms and conditions are a mess. How do you remove the subsidies? How do you say, we are going to increase fuel, you're going to increase electricity tariffs, when in fact he was promising that he was going to reduce the commodities of prices, he was going to reduce the fuel. So clearly, when I look at all these put things together, even the issue of cadarism, I was happy with the pronouncements when he came in to say no cadres and whatever, very good. But we have seen cadres gradually coming up. The epic is what happened at Cheston Police, where PF leadership were attacked by cadres in full view of the media and the police. I mean, that is anarchy. That is anarchy coming from the UPND cadres. And is there a statement coming from the leadership of UPND? Nothing. Those cadres who perpetuated violence, they were arrested. By a few of them were arrested, but immediately they were released. Are we going to see them in court?
Mr. Taali was pointed out a number of issues, few that the new Dawn government has not done what it promised the people of Zambia. Among some of the examples he cited is that of rule of law. He explained what happened at Charleston Police, where suspected UPND cadres attacked some PF officials during the time PF media chairperson Raphael Nakachinda was in custody. It's not different from what used to happen during the previous regime. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
uptake of nuclear technology by most African countries is a matter of concern. However, some European countries that have embraced nuclear technology, such as Russia, have experienced massive development in areas of energy, health, agriculture, and mining. Zambia is, however, 50 years behind when it comes to nuclear energy utilization. But this gap is about to be closed as government has launched the National Nuclear Policy 2020 and the Nuclear Implementation Plan.
The vision of this policy is to transform our economy by applying nuclear science and technology. As I earlier indicated, we are being bold and deliberate in this policy, and the objectives of this policy are to lead us to this, to develop the nuclear science and technology legal and regulatory framework, to build capacity for nuclear science and technology in the country, to promote nuclear science and technology, to promote public acceptance of nuclear science and technology in Zambia, and to enhance requirements for nuclear safety, security, and safeguards.
Thank the Ministry of Higher Education, Directorate of Science and Technology, as well as Planning, for ensuring that all the work that was needed and required to put this policy together has been done, and we can end the year very well, Honourable Minister, launching our third policy as a Ministry of Higher Education, showing how we are leading the process in science, technology, in the TVET sector, and now in the nuclear science technology realm.
While Zambia has continued to experience many challenges, including in the area of energy, it is hoped that the launch of this policy will open up doors of investment in the nuclear energy in Zambia. Prudence Chota for Camnet.
Upward adjustment in fuel prices is something that has brought discomfort, agitation, and disappointment among many citizens. Much as the justification may be genuine, however, it is the opposite of the campaign promises made by President Hakainde Hichilema on various platforms in the build-up to the August 12 general election of delivering cheap fuel. Social media has been flooded with reminders on the cheap fuel. Now that Zambia is implementing an IMF program, a lot of structural adjustments are anticipated, such as the removal of subsidies in the energy sector, which will harm low-income earners and the poor in society, thereby widening the gap between the rich and the poor. While politicians have always told Zambians to tighten their belts, perhaps they do not understand the challenges people go through to survive a single day, as this woman in Lusaka's Bauleni compound explains.
Someone almost ya mene abura manje ninjara tinkala tabena njara manje survive manje yavuta mu life hapa manje sinza kawazati ganzira ku bwanji ungana vakuti pinango pinango chabve mene bring na challenges ya mate pita mwana veve vati bwezi lako mitengo mwana nda watavutika mwana.
The decision will see a rise in the cost of living, which is already beyond the reach of many Zambians at over 8,000 kwacha for a family of 5, according to the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, JCTR, Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket.
Sasa wa government wana chitira so uti dulise fuel. Kwa fuel ndio moyo watu kuna mzigo. Sasa mwenda mtauni tezo kwela 30 kwacha kuna maiti zamu kwela 20 kwacha. Kwa fuel ya mini. So batiganizire ko yise nisewa mphawe.
At this juncture, ordinary citizens have a puncture, but they have to endure the torture for a while, wondering what will come with the future. But the consolation is that life is a teacher, and today's lesson is, let us tighten our belts. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
not checked, illegal exploitation of wildlife can lead to the depletion of the wildlife resources and impoverish the rural poor whose lives depend on national resources. However, protecting Zambia's wildlife effectively requires a large number of well-trained officers who are currently not adequate. And these youth that you see are actually from these communities, so that when they have been trained, they will actually spearhead the management of resources in these communities. It is a happy moment for us because we know that now we have more people to participate in the conservation of these natural resources.
These are the ones that are, in the forefront, not only protecting wildlife, but even the chiefs themselves. Because where we are, like when you talk of Nsumbu, that is bordering Tanzania, Congo DR, and Burundi. So when they are there, they are protecting not only wildlife, but even, the chief and the communities at large.
The Zambia Road Safety Truth, we also notice with concerns that there's a lot of drink driving on our roads, especially during this festive period. Okay, so apart from alcohol, also, there's these other vices like smoking. I'm sure there should be issues to those young people, excited drivers, they smoke marijuana. Okay, and this, it's difficult, like, for them to come out openly, but that is also part of the campaigns that we are raising all across the general members of the public to ensure that, let's ensure that we follow traffic regulations, and also to ensure that we respect one another, we love one another during this period, because immediately we do that, then we'll be able to reduce the road carnage that we are experiencing on our roads. And
It is an environmental crisis that has been in making for nearly 70 years. Plastic pollution is now considered one of the largest environmental threats facing humans and animals globally. The recent studies by the International Pollutant Elimination Network, IPEN, in collaboration with International Pellet Watch, IPW, in over 35 countries including Zambia, revealed the dangers posed by the recycled plastics, which makes the products unsuitable for use by the end users. The Center for Zero Waste and Development in Africa, CZWDA, founder CEO Billy Lombe, has cited some of the dangers posed by these plastics.
Additives that are added to the pellets in the recycling industry. And also in terms of the HDPE, the high definition, the type of the plastic that we are looking at, it HDPEs, is that they are widely used by consumers, and these are the ones that you find in the packaging system. For example, so you find them, the buckets that you use, and most of the household things that you use. And in the products, mostly are packaged using the HDPE type of plastics, and that is why the study specifically shows that the consumers are exposed to chemicals that they don't know. It's hard to see them with your eyes, so it's an issue that needs to be taken seriously.
When asked about the recommendations to government on the alternative products to be used in place of plastics, Mr. Lombe explains.
There are a lot of alternatives, of course. People usually ask what can be alternatives. I think we cannot live without plastic. Those are the questions that people ask. But people need to know is that where before we used to live and coexist with nature, and we used to use most of the products were reusable, and some of them they're biodegradable, of course. So we need to look at nature-based solutions, and these nature-based solutions are very important as we move forward.
NCZWDA member technical group Kalumba Kalumba, says it is important that government act on the banning of plastics manufacturing in a bid to fight e-waste.
We have learned that, some of the toxic chemicals in these plastics are called, endocrine disrupting chemicals. So they affect our lungs, the heart, and all the body organs. So that's a very, very serious issue. And there are studies, backing this up to show how, the negative impacts have been in other countries. So this report will push, for serious government decisions. We need to look at banning the export of plastics, because we now know that it's not just plastics being exported. We have had challenges handling plastics, but we now have the toxic chemical part of it, which makes it more complex.
Meanwhile, in February 2022, countries will meet at United Nations Environment Assembly to discuss a global instrument on plastics, largely focused on waste and marine litter. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Thank you very much. This is the Lunchtime Cafe on Camnet TV, and we were just showing you some stories from way back. Those are that's the segment that we call the Forgotten Stories segment, where we show you some stories that happened a few years ago, just to remind you and refresh your memories of where we are coming from news-wise. Now, moving on, we get into the next segment, and now this segment is called the Emerging Stories segment. We give you stories that you expect to see in our menus at 19:30 this evening. So these are the stories that the reporters are working on and developing stories, and of course we give you just a snippet of what you expect to see at exactly 19:30 this evening in our menus. So the segment is called the Emerging Stories segment, and we start with a story, a very interesting story from the Ministry of Health, and it says Health Minister Sylvia Masevo yesterday warned pharmacists, nurses and doctors not to give prescriptions to drugs outside of the hospital when the drugs are available within the hospital pharmacy for free. Ms. Masevo warns that government will not take lightly health workers that are failing to give drugs to patients, claiming that they are out of stock. Now, she said this when she visited Tawama First Level Hospital, where she found that a patient had been told to go and buy drugs that were available at the facility. The visibly annoyed minister warned that government will not tolerate such behavior. Let's have a look at this.
The drug is here. The drug is here. So you tell me who said the drug was not there and you made that man do. Where's that man? Come here. Bankwala Yaliba. Say. Say.
But why did they say you black?
That's what I wanted to know. Why they and the whole week you've been buying.
The one was just like here.
So you're the one who was there. So you're the one who told this guy to go and buy because you said there was nothing. But there is. What do you have to tell me
No more job for her. That's why you're used to this nonsense. No, if you don't charge this, if I come back, I find this lady here, you yourself will be out. So I don't want to stay.
You can use the shortcut this way.
There's a shortcut here, Honorable Minister.
There are so many girls who want jobs, my dear. You are conniving with pharmacists, private pharmacists. You are sending poor patients to go and buy drugs when the drugs are ready. And you think you're clever. You're out. You want to work at the same pharmacy?
Who did the prescription? Yeah, that's what you need.
Sad but very interesting developments there, where patients are being told to go and buy medicines from private pharmacies when actually the hospitals have the medicine in stock. So that was at Chawama First Level Hospital when Health Minister visited the facility only to find that particular situation. The next story says Chief Milo of the Lala-speaking people of Serenja district in the Central Province has rejected an application to grant by force a code wood if harvesting consent in his chiefdom. Now, the traditional leader said those issuing threats are wasting time because President Hakainde Hichilema does not support environmental degradation. He said President Hichilema is committed towards environmental protection, as can be seen by him signing the Glasgow Leaders Declaration, creation of a ministry of focusing on environment and shutting down of non-compliant mines. The traditional leader revealed that the consent was meant to cut trees for charcoal production to sell to manganese processing plants in Serenja district. Now, Serenja District Commissioner Paul Masua said Chief Milo did well to reject granting the codewood consent because his office is not aware of the issue. Now, Mr. Masua said President Hichilema is only promoting afforestation, further indicating that any senior government official forcing him to sign under duress is on his own. And CEJ board member Emmanuel Mutamba said his organization remains committed towards providing a platform for effective dialogue on natural resources and governance. Let's have a look at this.
And here is one who is even annoyed that the chief is presenting development. Ni development in Shala Peter, ukwisa mkona ula alusiwasi leka ndidam, sosi ya alusiwasi. But to tinyati, who tell you as if you are not supporting the president. Are we not helping the government by protecting the dam? Individual interests should be separated from the interest and the capability of His Excellency. That should be separated. If you have interest into what you are talking about, whether you are a civic leader at whatever level, leave His Excellency to do his job alone through us as traditional leaders.
Before any policy being implemented in a district, I must know. And if there is a minister somewhere issuing the permits, we are not aware. I think that is illegal. The government is promoting that everyone should not cut trees unless otherwise if you have a permit, and you should have authority from Forest Department. Investors cutting trees, even now we have Camnet, we are charged 500,000 kwacha. Anyone cutting trees is liable for punishment, and the government is enforcing that. Last month or 2 months ago, they charged Camnet. In Kabwe, they also charged some investors 800,000 kwacha because of cutting trees. It is now a law that any smelter plant using charcoal is an offense. So if there is anyone who has been given by a permit by any means, that is illegal. And I think that there is some corruption involved.
But let me make it clear, Your Royal Highness, that these are not small battles. These are not small battles, because some of the decisions that our governments are making, sometimes they are not actually themselves, they are being pushed by some international corporations, some international powers. So we really also need to help the government to realize that we are in a global village, but there is interest for our chiefdoms, for the survival of our chiefdoms, for the survival of our people. Those interests are very, very important. So as we fight together, we want to look at critical things like the laws.
Thank you very much. So that is about the cutting down of trees in Serenje and selling the charcoal to manganese processing companies. The chief says he will not consent to such a deal and does not subscribe to deforestation. So on that note, we are going now to be leaving you with some documentary that was done on groundwater, and another one also which was done on issues to do with legal fees and those that cannot afford to pay, and what is happening to help those particular people. Let's have a look at these documentaries.
Sentencing disparities, the unequal treatment of individuals based on various factors during the judicial process, have long been a matter of concern within society. While these disparities affect communities across the country, it is often those in rural areas who bear a heavy burden. Legal representation is often inadequate, hence some people are not able to argue their case completely to convince the adjudicators to be considerate as they pass judgment. To contextualize the subject during my visit to Mazabuka district, Zambia's southern province, the locals shared with this journalist stories experience on sentencing disparities in their pursuit of justice. We spoke with Moses Tembo, not his real name, a local resident who had a first-hand experience with sentencing disparities. He requested to remain unknown based on the sensitivity of his work.
On 6th of September 2018, I was arrested and given a non-bearable charge. Okay, of course, by the judge enforcement commission. So, from that moment, because of the nature of the offense, I was incarcerated. There was no bail, there was no police bond. As per the act, the way the act describes, there is no bail for that charge. So, from 6th of September, my trial process had to take about 1 year, 6 months. So our matter had to drag. There were several unnecessary adjournments. And during that 1 year plus, I should say the total period came to about 511 days. Just incarcerated, waiting for the matter to reach at some stage where I could see justice. So, what was so painful, what was so difficult is the delay in terms of justice.
To gain insight into this issue, we spoke with Charles Changano, a prominent Zambian lawyer.
You can sentence to 1 day, even if the offense says not up to 25 years, because up to 25 starts from 1 day. So, depending with the nature of the offense committed, what is the community saying about that offense? And you look at the statute, what was the purpose of creating such a sentence? Again, you look at a situation where somebody was arrested and he has been in custody for a long period of time. And when you come to sentence such a person, you should consider the days he has spent. I've seen some instances in my experience when I was a prosecutor. You'll find that somebody has spent 2 years in custody, but the magistrate or magistrate will sentence with effect from that day. I feel on that situation it is unfair.
Moses explains the unfair hearing he went through. However, says he was fortunate because he received legal representation to deal with his case. Now, he is a lawyer. He chose this career path in order to assist others.
So you'd find that most of the prisons are crowded simply because they are keeping more less privileged people inside than those with better chances in society. So that is why the law is not applied equally, because you'd find that there are so many modes of punishments, and such punishments are considered in terms of situation after situation. For example, one may be given community service. This can also help actually the prisons to decongest. But you'd find that such sentences, which are even much better, they are being given to people with better chances in society. Simply because one doesn't have a lawyer, can't afford law services, you'd find that they are given punishment which is not reasonable. Of course, all this is dependent on the jurisdiction of the courts. But then, the focus should be, the law should be applied equally.
Acting Chief Mwana Chingwala of Southern Province attributes sentencing disparities to the lack of legal representation by the locals. He has, however, thanked the government with its cooperating partners, such as the GIZ, for implementing a program that assists locals with access to legal representation, enabling access to justice, civil society participation and transparency in ACT project. The project started its activities in August 2021 with an overall objective of improving access to accountable institutions and transparent government decision-making processes. Acting Chief Mwana Chingwala, whose chiefdom is a beneficiary, says the project has become a beacon of hope for the chiefdom, adding that the assistance has created a sense of hope and fairness among community members facing legal challenges.
Some people are being accused for not knowing how to explain things in court. People are arrested just because they don't understand what their law is about. But coming of the GIZ through the sensitization or the teaching or the updating of the justice, it has brought the good fruits in Mwana Chingwala. I have good cases that have been gone through where people are fearing to go to court. Sometimes some even die. It's better just commit suicide because I have nothing to do. And how am I going to answer? Me in court, I have never been there. But because of this education that have come through GIZ concerning the justice, it has made the tremendous things in Mwana Chingwala. I'm happy because we are even assisted by the paralegal desk, where the information from the GIZ, the facilitators from who are funded by GIZ, when they come together with the paralegal desk, it makes the job easy.
The Zambian government, in partnership with the German government, has so far created 19 legal help desks at subordinate courts, correctional facilities, and police stations to increase access to legal aid.
Currently, we sit at 132,098 individuals represented under this common initiative through the collaboration that we have with these GIZ partners under the ENACT program. So you can see that numbers, which were initially from 69,000 as far back as 2017 as people that were touched by legal aid services, we've gone to 132,098 individuals that have been represented. And these statistics, I must say, are not current. So this is a previous statistic that we've picked. So currently, I even expect that we should have had more.
We sought the views of the Zambia Law Development Commission regarding factors contributing to sentencing disparities.
This is a part of our mandate that until this year, we have not really applied as a commission because of limited resources. But in the last 2 years, we have been fortunate. Our funding from government, we are primarily government funded, has been increased. So starting this year, we have held our first 3 legal seminars. So we are in the process of designing the program for next year for the seminars that we are holding, and we are hoping that we will have a legal seminar every quarter. And we are currently putting together the seminar programs, and sentencing is one of the issues that the Commission has requested us to start looking into.
The Minister of Justice, Mulambo Ahimbe, underscored the government resolve to steer inclusive justice delivery.
It is not based on whether one is rich or poor, but rather based on the offenses that have been committed and the various sentencing principles that are enshrined in the Criminal Procedure Code. Now, there is also an aspect of stiff punishment for offenses that fall in one category. For example, theft. You will steal a chicken and this person will steal $10,000, but you all get 3 years sentence or whatever the case may be. I'm giving that as an example. This is where we want to review the law to give an increased level of discretion to the magistrates, to the courts, to be able to look at the gravity of the offense, even if it falls within one category such as theft. And for those that seem lower, to be able to give a more lenient sentence. If you steal a chicken, for example, you should be able to say, get community service, as compared to one who steals $100,000 from somebody. So that should explain the legal reforms that we are still undertaking. It's an ongoing process because the laws have been there for 1930.
It is clear that sentencing disparities significantly impact individuals in rural areas, making them feel marginalized and disproportionately burdened by the flaws within the justice system. However, with the attention this issue is receiving, there is hope for positive change. Organizations, activists and policymakers are working together to address these disparities, ensuring that justice is truly blind and equal for all. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Mazabuka District, Southern Province.
Choma, a drought-prone district in southern Zambia, faces a looming groundwater shortage attributed to adverse effects of climate change. The district, whose economy is highly dependent on farming, has also seen an increase in population, leading to high demand for water after it was declared a provincial capital some years back. However, poor groundwater management as a result of indiscriminate drilling of boreholes has badly affected the water recharge stable, leaving farmers whose crops depend on irrigation in panic mode, posing a threat to food security. Genius Musogotwane is the executive director of the child rights advocacy organization Musogotwane Compassionate Mission, which uses the agricultural-driven concepts to sustain efforts in ending child marriages.
And even when you've drilled 120 meters deep for groundwater, you would find that chances of getting a higher yield of water are slim. And this calls for sensitive and climate smart initiatives around our activities as we do our activities in our farms, so that at the end of the day we preserve groundwater and also we reduce the chances of food insecurity. We need to use methods of water harvest so that at the end of the day groundwater will only be used like in a period where we have such kind of a situation where we are now experiencing El Nino.
Borehole drilling firms, which have been at the center of drilling boreholes or water wells without being regulated or monitored through licensing, are also sweating in siting water as the precious liquid has gone down further, about 150 meters deep. Duncan Banda is a vegetable and fruit farmer affiliated to the Zambia National Farmers Union, ZNFU, and survives from selling his crops in Joma and neighboring Kalomo district. He is concerned about the poor methods of farming by his colleagues in the sector.
What other methods apart from this farming field crops can I do for me to survive? So the best is to get organized and join organizations that can give you information, so that as you stay at the farm or anywhere where you may be, you could have an informed decision.
To help reverse the looming water crisis, The Federal Institute of Geosciences and Natural Resources, BGR, which cooperates with the Ministry of Water and Sanitation through the Joint Project Water Resources Management Support Program, embarked on the implementation of the newly established Water Resources Management Authority WAMA for the development of groundwater management plans. Douglas Lubaba is WAMA's Senior Research Officer and shares some of the benefits realized through partnering with the German Development Corporation in protecting groundwater resources in Joma and other parts of the country.
In areas somewhere in Monze, in Choma, because in these areas, communities have felt the impact of degraded forest because they have lost water, the streams and rivers have dried up, the groundwater has gone low. It's difficult, and this, we are talking about a people who are reliant on herding cattle. So because of overgrazing, so it has caused a lot of soil erosion, which has gone into streams, barren streams. So working with GIZ, they are working with communities where we are trying to restore part of these degraded catchment areas.
Wallace Shawa is Director of Operations at the Southern Water and Sanitation Company, SWASCO, one of the implementing agencies in safeguarding groundwater resources through working with various stakeholders.
You may wish to know that the groundwater resource was mapped in 2007 under a project called Groundwater for Southern Province. So here in Choma, it's very difficult to find groundwater. But with a project that is being spearheaded by BGR, is to try and identify a well field. The other thing is that Southern Province in general is quite prone to droughts.
A tool for groundwater resource management in Southern Province and Zambia has been placed in the hands of water resource managers, academics, politicians, water users and other interest groups. But what remains is the challenge to put it to use and help to achieve the national goal of economic growth and poverty eradication through sustainable development and management of groundwater in the country. Elias Limonia reporting in Choma District.